episode of the Buffalonian podcast is brought to you by the Cast Source Podcast Network, a podcast network built with and for entrepreneurs. Cover many genres, including sports, business, mental health, marketing, and entertainment. Feature the podcast shows such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Saviors of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the Buffalonian podcast. The Buffalo Bills are officially playoff bound, and the Sabres goalie may or may not have just saved his career. Along with some Would You Rather and the usual hot takes, trivia, and more, this is the Buffalonian Podcast. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. And fellas, it smells like a frozen fish stick up in here. Sorry, already stumbling right off the bat here. It smells like a frozen fish stick up in here. The Bills overtook the Dolphins with a game-winning field goal from Tyler Bass in that lake effect snow that finally showed up after they forecasted it for the entire game, and it was only for the last probably 15 minutes, I would say. So I don't know. It was a good outing, smart last drive. There were some dumb mistakes, some missed catches, but overall, a win's a win. An ugly win is not pretty, but it's a win. So I'll take it at the end of the day. I mean, what are you guys thinking? Just base thoughts. Dom, you and I were at the game. Mike,
I'm just saying. I think one of us did say that Tyler Bass would be the player of the game, and yes, I will full-heartedly admit that the player of the game was Josh Allen. But I did say Tyler Bass was going to kick a game-winning field goal with zeros on the clock. I didn't say that they would be losing at the time, but I didn't say the yardage. I said it was going to be within 40 yards. So,
yeah, I went big. I said it was going to be 53 for that. So that unfortunately didn't happen. But Mike, what about you?
Jeez, oh man, that game. I was nervous coming out of halftime because they were not playing very well, and then you could just tell the crowd was out of it, and then it starts to snow, and there's just a rejuvenation in the crowd, and then you just see Tua all bundled up in his big jacket on the bench.
Yeah.
And then they stalled out. And then we just kind of said, you know what? We just got to burn out the clock, get in field goal range. Loved all the guys just, clearing the snow on the field. Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Hey, high IQ, football IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen. None of the Water Boys came on the field to do it. No 15-yard penalty there, and no one used a towel. So no 15-yard penalty.
Oh, just saying, those refs. I think the one guy, one of the former refs, how they're on ESPN and all that.
Oh, John Perry.
Yeah, he's you can't give a penalty because the crowd, that's not possible. Threatening a 15-yard penalty for throwing snowballs.
Well,
I'm not saying you should be throwing snowballs, but I'm just saying threaten a 15-yard penalty.
Actually, they were ice balls. Come on,
whatever.
No. Most of the ones that made it that far, you were throwing like a baseball. It was straight up ice. I don't know. I saw some around me make it all the way to the field from the 200s.
I mean, honestly, though, what do you expect when you have 70,000 drunk people in a foot of snow on their seat?
Right. I think, honestly,
I don't know what you expect.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. The expectation there, a guy got arrested in front of me for doing it, right? The cops were around, they were doing it. But at the same time, you're absolutely right. 70,000 highly intoxicated people in one area where they didn't shovel off the benches. They left you a foot of snow to play with. I mean, I'm going to play with it. Whenever they scored a touchdown, it was a winter wonderland. Everyone was just throwing snow in the air. It was so cool. But, I mean, it was just that lake effect snow everyone was hoping for the entire game just to ice out the Dolphins finally showed up. And it was like the cherry on top of marching down the field and kicking that field goal. It's like Mother Nature telling you it was going to happen before it happened. It was a precursor, little bit of foreshadowing there. So, I don't know. But overall good. I mean, some iffy things, like I said, some dumb things, some truly dumb things, I think. But rumor has it Josh took over the play calling on that last drive. That's when swirling around that Dorsey was not involved with that last drive. And honestly,
I don't. Who told you that?
A couple Odyssey guys did.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's I mean,
Real
that's kinda,
reliable sources right there.
they are. I
Right.
mean, they're directly in contact the entire time. So I don't know. It
I
would
mean,
make sense. I don't know.
I think if every Bills game that doesn't involve a blowout, there's good. I mean, even in blowout games, there's good and bad, and there was definitely handful of some bad. But at the end of the day, they got to win against. I would think Miami's a pretty good team and a team that I probably don't want them to come back here and play for a third time because it's always hard to play a division rival 3 times in the same season. I know they handled the Pats pretty well last year doing it, but that usually doesn't happen. But no,
Yeah.
I think you got to give credit to Miami. I think they really played really well in the weather. I thought they actually handled the weather mostly better than the Bills until the snow started to fall. So you got to give credit to them. I thought Tua played all right. I mean, I think, I don't know, like Tua, I mean, his line isn't that great, 17 for 30, 234, 2 touchdowns. He made some nice throws. But at the end of the day, it was just kind of like, it kind of felt like Miami offensively could do whatever they want, which was concerning. I mean, they have a good offensive play caller. I have no idea why on those third and like threes they were throwing the ball.
Mhm.
I think that's the difference for me is that like on 3rd and 3, Josh is most likely gonna have the ball, and it's gonna be like that's your best option. For me, they try to do that with Tua, the Dolphins, and honestly, it just wasn't their best option because they were running the ball 7 yards a carry. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
Moser was cutting us right through. I'm not quite sure why they shied away from the run, like you said. I mean, I think they wanted. I don't know. It's just interesting because Moser was having a very, very good day against
They're
the Bills.
dedicated to that play action. They just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was confusing to me on that aspect because I think Tua played good, but not great. Like he was just he kind of played average.
Yeah.
And I guess the difference in the game is that like the Dolphins have a good roster, same with the Bills, but the Dolphins have very good, probably better playmakers. But Josh is our best playmaker.
Well,
So,
I
like,
think
that's a big difference, especially when you play in bad weather. When people are, your wide receivers are slipping and they probably can't. I know there's the saying of like they know where they're going, the D-backs do, and that's an advantage. But there's also, they're going to slip and fall too, and sometimes you need some backyard football. And Tua's not going to. I mean, you saw Tua scramble the one time, had 10 yards of open field, try to do some random juke move and fall for 4 yards, and then I don't think they got the first. I don't think they got the first down on that.
Nope.
I think that was like the punt where Cam Lewis murdered the punters.
It was, yeah, yeah. That was
I thought that was a joke of the game right there.
Guys,
Like,
wait, I'm not
I
a
thought
selfish
from that
player.
moment
I'm
on.
not a selfish player, though. I'm not a selfish player. I'll just go for an interception when I should bat the ball down 4th down against the Vikings, and I'll go for the pump block and kill the punter, cost the team. I'm not selfish, though.
Yeah, no, he's the most selfless player on the Bills, if you ask me. But I mean, looking at like the Bills, we lost earlier this season, right? I'm in these toxic groups and stuff, right? There's a lot of comments going around. This game, the Dolphins fans came out of their caves on this one, all over the internet. They're like, the refs gave him the game. That wasn't a 2-point conversion. He didn't break the plane. They're posting pictures of him clearly breaking the plane. You see it. You see the ball over the white line, and that's all you have to do. But I saw the stat yesterday, right? Josh Allen, this season versus the Dolphins, specifically the Dolphins, just the 2 games. 704 passing yards, 124 rushing yards, 6 passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. So, I mean, when you throw it 60 times in that first meeting, you should have 400 yards like he did. But, 0 interceptions is it's pretty all right in my mind. He's done well against the Dolphins himself.
Throughout his entire career, he's always done really good against the Dolphins. Like, that's just kind of the team that he's always been able to have their number, I guess. And then, now that they're more competitive, like, I would say that they're a threat with how they've been playing. But, like, it's just nice to know that Josh will always be, like, at an elite level whenever we had to play them.
Right. It's just about everyone else around him.
Josh is now in 10 games against the Dolphins, 8-2. His 2 losses are combined 6 points. One is because he skipped the pass to Isaiah McKenzie on 4th and goal. And the other one is because Charles Clay was a traitor.
Drop.
Yeah,
I have a signed picture of Charles
from
Clay
the
over there
Dolphins
that I
to
found.
the Bills. And I think just this morning, I think Josh got announced as the AFC Player of the Week. Player of the game.
Yeah, Offensive Player of the Week.
So I think that's the 4th time in his career he's done that against the Dolphins. I think there was a stat where he's done it the most since 19 or 20. I can't remember which one it is. But Josh is gonna be Josh, man. It's gonna when the weather is bad, having your best running back really be your quarterback is a huge advantage. And I think this is also the first game. Well, I shouldn't say the first game all year, but this kind of felt like a game where the tight ends broke out. Like really, Quentin Morris.
That throw to Quentin Morris was like perfect.
Yeah, fantastic.
I know it's funny because everyone was like, "Oh my god, his release off the line was so good," and his release was good. The unfortunate part for Quentin Morris is that he beat him so cleanly on the inside that his route of like the outbreaking route actually
hindered him.
It actually hindered him because it made the defender able. I mean, the defender's also a safety, so he's a little bit quicker than him. But no, that was a dime. Like that was the first I can't remember last time Quentin Morris caught a ball. You know what I mean?
They're using tight ends. It's really cool. Like that's
I think the last Quentin Morris memory I have of him was the same thing as Khalil Shakur like that Pittsburgh game of him fumbling at the 1 yard line on that shovel pass. Like that's my last Quentin Morris memory.
Yeah,
he might have had like a random catch there or there. I know he was injured. I think for the Pats game, then Tommy.
I think he has like 8 catches on the year or something.
Yeah, he's not even bad. I mean, he definitely has like the potential.
He's not the tight end, so
yeah.
He's number 2. I mean, honest to God, he's probably, if we're being realistic, he's tight end 3. Because I think Gilliam is more like. Also, they finally started to use my boy Reggie. Like, yeah, I think that helped. Also, Knox 6 for 98 and a tud. It's kind of interesting. He had six catches on 8 targets, and I think honestly, you probably would want him to have all 8 catches because
he had some drops.
Yeah, Dawson drops came out to play.
The one he just dropped. Like he dropped like a 15-yard pass right in the middle of the field. And the other one, it would have been it was a little bit like he ran that outbreaking route. It was a little bit to the inside. Defender kind of made a nice play, but at the same time, I was like,
you got to make that catch.
But he had a nice day. And it was kind of like, wow, the Dolphins play a lot of man coverage, a lot of one-on-ones, and he was consistently getting open, which is nice. I thought Davis, was really quarterback friendly the whole game. He obviously had the big 3rd and 17. He was really good. McKenzie continues to not really do anything for me. I know he had a couple 3rd down conversions. I know Beasley only played 11 snaps, so I think he was kind of
1 catch. Do you have just 1 target?
Yep, 1 for 1. Yeah. He was open a little bit too, so it wasn't like he was. Oh, Hines also got Hines involved. That was a nice touchdown.
James Cook's touchdown. Yeah. Yeah. Finally seeing Nyheim Hines score a touchdown was awesome.
It was kind of wild to say the first half and the last 2 drives couldn't have gone any better really for the Bills, and it's but you still get that quarter and a half of just yuck.
Yeah, it was a lull. They thought they were not themselves. Yeah.
That's it also happens when you have just an absolute. It's also frustrating because it's not like they were going I think they had a couple 3 and outs, but it's not like they go 3 and outs all the time. It's they get 20 yards, they get to midfield, and then they get a 5-yard run. No, they'll get a 2-yard run, but it'll be a 10-yard holding penalty. Also, first and 20. It's
Roger Saffold had a brutal game. Penalties.
Yeah. I think also I guess the main injury thing is I hope Mitch Morris is okay. He got his
sixth concussion on the season. This guy, I mean, he might not. I don't.
Not a season. This is his first. This is his first.
Sixth, I think, in his career.
6th in his career. Yeah. I meant, yeah. So
this is his first since I think that Pats game in 2020 had one. Then he missed one. Feliciano was his center a little bit in 20.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
but Butker got elevated too. So
no, it just shows. I think the Bills with the draft have to get some offensive linemen.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, no.
Because think about it. If Morris is getting concussed this easily, and plus he's older, so you gotta think about him. Saffold is just Saffold could retire.
He's trash too. No,
he's not that good. He's old. Showman's fine. Spencer Brown's mid. He needs to develop. And then what? Right now it's been Bates and he's hurt. So it's been Questenberry at guard. And Questenberry's
it was Van Roten and then Morris.
Yeah. But still, it just shows that we need offensive linemen because our run game, you can tell in our run game that when we get 2 to 3 yards per carry, it's because our offensive line just isn't that good.
Yeah. No, that's definitely draft-wise. That would be interesting to see Brandon Beane attack that because I think that's one consistent thing we've been saying.
Look what Kansas City did. They got Orlando Brown. They signed Joe Thuney. You draft Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, and they have one of the best lines in the league now. They just completely rebuilt their line because Mahomes was getting terrorized in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the Bills need to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's like necessarily like trading a first round pick for Orlando Brown or signing.
No, yeah, no, I'm not saying
but,
that.
No, but like I don't know what you're saying, but it's like instead of drafting Boogie Basham, your fifth the end in the second round, maybe select Creed Humphrey, who could have been, even if you wanted to keep Mitch Morris at the time, like he could have played probably guard, been good at guard, and swap, kind of like what who's his name, Landon Dickerson's doing for the Eagles with Jason Kelsey, kind of still every year kind of complimenting retirement, like. And I feel like this is the year that they finally have to like invest in the offense, like deep and early in the draft. They haven't done that. I can't remember the last time they really did that. I mean, to be honest, I mean, what, Zay Jones was a second round pick in 17.
Hey, he's having a career now.
Obviously, Josh. I mean, that's kind of like a no duh one, but like 19 was Ed, 20 they didn't have one,
and AJ was second round pick. 21 was Rousseau. Last year was Elam.
Like
we had Jake Fromm at one point, but that was meh. That was
like a
fifth round pick.
Fifth round pick. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like I think this is the year where they select like a wide receiver in the first round and go wide receiver offensive line.
I would love to see it. Truthfully,
because I think part of the reason has to be the offensive line has to get better because they keep getting whooped. Like Josh makes the offensive line look so much like because he's so good under pressure.
Yeah.
So good at evading pressure. Like you kind of forget that the reason why he's under pressure is because you have a really bad offensive line. And like we talk every week about like, oh, Christian Wilkins or this week in Chicago. Actually, no, Chicago doesn't really have anyone. I'm gonna be honest. But like every week we talk about, oh my God, they have this stud, this stud, this stud, and every week we had to be like incredibly concerned going into the game because like the only person you trust fully is Dion, and after that it's like if they line up against any other than maybe Morris, but Morris is like. He's a good pass blocker, but like if he's a smaller center. Like if he gets a big dude in front, but it's like it's one of those situations where it's like then you invest in the offensive line and then wide receiver. It's like I don't know if Davis is like the long-term wide receiver too, nor do they want to pay him $12 million a year when his contract is up next year. So like
I think Gabe Davis has proven that he's just like a deep threat playmaker. I don't think he's consistent enough to be like a number one or number two.
No, I think he's a John Brown.
You do need to think about like the next like generation for wide receiver because Diggs is 29. Like you're still gonna have him for 3 to 4 years being elite, but like you need to get that guy in so he can develop and learn the offense and then just step in and take over. Honestly,
yeah, the Davis to me is like he's like a really good third outside receiver, but he could play number two if you're banged up, or like he could be like that 2-3 role. Like I think this year they miss. Like that Emmanuel Sanders, that John, I guess 2020 John Brown. I know he was banged up, but like kind of that receiver because 2019 John Brown's actually pretty good. They just missed that like other guy on the outside that could like rotate with Davis and like, I mean, I guess that's why we were beating on the drum so hard for OBJ is that like he would be the guy that would, take some pressure off Davis. It also doesn't help that I feel like he's just regressed based off of. He runs 3 routes. Like, as you said, he's just a deep threat. Like, he either runs the stop route, the in, or the post, or the fly or whatever.
No,
like
I know what you mean.
He runs 4 routes. Like, if it's or I'm sorry, they'll do that like play action where he acts like the tight end and run like he runs 5 routes. Like that's why that's why I feel like he's regressed. Is that I don't know. They just don't use him other than those routes.
Well, I think that's what we even said about. The tight ends, like we were talking about, like they're just not being utilized, and Dorsey's not utilizing them the way that they, especially Dawson Knox being paid all that money, you should be utilizing, So I think it's just, I was talking last night about this with your brother Dom. I think that Dorsey's great. I'm kind of like iffy about it right now, right? Just in general.
They're not going to replace Dorsey.
They're not going to replace him. People need to get that out of their mind.
I don't think replacing Ken Dorsey.
You got to remember, it's also his first year as a play caller too.
You got to let him grow into the position. You got to let him. There's going to be some growing pains. I mean, Brian Dable was very smart, very cheeky in what he did. Like he was shifty. You never knew what the guy was going to do. Dorsey's got to put his own stamp on things, and you got to give him time to do that. It's not like you're You look at it player perspective. You didn't expect Josh Allen to come in here year 1 and change the game, even though he started to.
If you get rid of Dorsey, like who are you bringing in?
Everyone's like bringing Frank Reich. I'm like, no, I'd rather see Dorsey develop.
Well,
Mhm.
I mean, Fred's pretty good, but
I'd bring in Frank Reich as like an advisor or something,
yeah,
like a coach, you know.
Well, just to be with the team, absolutely.
But I do like. I mean, I would keep Dorsey around. I like Joe Brady too. I think he has
Mhm.
potential to be a good coach one day.
yeah,
But like,
Yeah.
he's just young and needs to like develop as a coach.
he also got screwed because he was in Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was bad.
But I think the frustration of Dorsey is that what this offense looked like last year.
Hmm.
Plus, he was there because he was a quarterback coach. Plus, I mean, it can't be this hard when you have an elite, like a top of the line quarterback. Like, it makes your job a lot easier. But the frustration thing, I think the frustrations, like the play calling, yes, the lulls make me mad. The frustration for me is they invest in Dawson Knox being a top 5 tight end. They invest a pick into Naeem Hines. They invest a high pick into James Cook.
Mhm.
And the first 3 months of the year, those guys are MIA and not utilized. And it felt like the reason why they were okay with Beasley walking and all that was that they were going to throw underneath to the running backs. They wanted pass catching running backs. They were going to use the tight ends more in the offense, less wide receivers, build up a better ground game. And it kind of feels like that hasn't really been the case. I think the last couple weeks they've done a better job on the ground. Obviously, the last month, I think Knox is starting to get going.
Yeah.
And now Cook, Hines out of the backfield. Like I feel like now he's kind of I'm not as mad at Dorsey because I think he's finding his rhythm using his the running backs and tight ends that I think he wanted to. You got to get rid of those lulls in the third quarter because they got to stop.
Yeah. I mean that's the biggest thing, especially going into the postseason here. You know, if we meet the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to play us for all 4 quarters. It's not going to be like we can have that anymore. I mean, the Dolphins did. Like they gave us a run for our money the other night. Like that lull is what's going to really, really hinder our advancement into the postseason. You know what I mean? Even against teams like coming up like Cincinnati, they're going to play
Hmm.
you all 4 quarters like hard. Like they're not going
Yeah.
to give up. Like
No, I
you
think
saw what they did to the Buccaneers. They were losing and they came back. They played them hard. So I mean, they just got to, like you said, eliminate the third quarter lull.
no, I think this Bears game needs to be kind of like a confidence boost game. Like I
Mhm.
think they really need to like
Pound them.
good not even that. They just need to execute their game plan like perfect so that because this is obviously a team that shouldn't be as good, but they were competitive against Philly. So like this is just a team where you need to get your plays down, get the schemes going, and like, you know, execute properly and not take stupid penalties like holding or like a false start or like stupid
Yeah.
stuff like that, Just like this needs to be a game where you act like you're playing like Cincy or like act like it's a playoff game, but like, I guess this is one where you could make mistakes. You got to figure out what works so that when you play Cincinnati the week after, you can beat them. Because I think our route to the Super Bowl is easiest through Orchard Park as the 1 seed.
Mhm.
Because I really don't want to go back to Arrowhead
No.
in the playoffs.
No.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to Chicago is a terrible. I mean, I guess we'll go to the preview of the game. They're 9.5-point favorites, but Chicago is a terrible defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I kind of jokingly said like I don't know anyone on their D line. I mean, they traded Robert Quinn. I truly
Yeah.
can't name you a single person on their defensive line. That's how bad they are. I mean, they have some like Brisker is a very good safety. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon are 2 pretty nice young corners they have, but like defensively, they're giving up 32 points a game before that Eagles game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that they good for them. They played really hard against the
Yeah.
Eagles, and then offensively, it's kind of just the Justin Fields show.
Mhm.
And the Bills in the past have done a pretty good job against running quarterbacks. They always do a pretty good job against Lamar. And it's all about just being really disciplined in your rushes because
Mm-hmm.
the Bears offensive line is not good, especially hopefully Telvin Jenkins is okay. I know he got carted off that neck injury. Alex Leatherwood, I don't know, they didn't trade for it. They picked him up on waivers from the Raiders. Is still bad at right tackle.
First round pick.
So I mean that's a big
Like me,
matchup.
huh?
That's a big matchup root against him. And so if the defensive line can contain Fields and dominate, that's a good sign because Fields does take a lot of really second year sacks, holding the ball too long.
Yeah.
So and it's not like they have great wide receivers. I know they traded a second for Claypool. But
He's really their only good, like decent wide
Cole
receiver.
Kmet's a good tight end, and they have a pretty good running game. But
Yeah.
I think this is a bad Bears team that you should stomp. I know the
Mhm.
weather's looking like it's gonna feel like -10 out there,
Might
so
be
They
that's
chilly.
said like blizzard conditions too, possibly.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
So
the Bills are just snow magnets this year, I guess, more than years past. But it was crazy last week. I was watching the Bears game. Justin Fields comes off with the ankle injury. Who steps in? Nathan Peterman. He's on the field playing snaps. Sorry,
yeah.
just the
I don't
guy
know.
who threw
I
5
think they
picks for the
gotta. I
Bills.
think they gotta somewhat prepare for Peterman because Justin Fields just kind of gets banged up every once. I mean, that's what kind of
all right,
happens.
so the defensive backs got to get their hands ready.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. Gotta
Train
warm
like
up
wide
the mitts.
receivers for the week.
I do say this though. This is a bounce back game for the defensive line because the Miami offensive line just dominated them for 60 minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
they
there's
could
just
get
no
zero
excuse.
pressure. Yeah.
Like Tua had time in the pocket. I know there was Shaq had a sack, but that was really a covered sack.
Jones had a sack.
Yeah, that was an actual sack, but that was a blitz sack too.
Yeah.
I think the concern that's been without Vaughn is that they're not getting as much pressure and they're blitzing more. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a double negative of they're blitzing more, but they're still not. They just got to be better.
Mhm.
But think about the one play,
Simply put,
Jalen
be
Waddle's
better.
touchdown. Tremaine, he knew what was happening. He diagnosed that play, yelling at Jordan Poyer to get back, and Waddle just burned the.
Yeah, I don't
defense.
know what happened there, to be honest.
I don't know if it
with
was a
you.
miscommunication, but having one safety back and then Jalen Waddle, it was so funny watching Jalen Waddle just like outrun DeMar Hamlin. Like he just took off. And it was just like,
I'll tell you right
that's
now,
tough.
it wasn't that fun watching it at the stadium.
No.
Because it was like, all right, 21-13. We get the ball first at the half. That's this is our moment. Let's score a touchdown.
We've
Go
got
15.
momentum.
They're gonna be cold. They're gonna quit. I think they went 3 and out. They might have went like first down at 4 and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think they did go 3 and out. And then because they took like a minute off the clock. We get them in 3rd and 4. We're like, okay. They throw the ball. We're like, oh my god, this is great. Like they've just like consistently throwing the ball on 3rd and 4 when they're running for 7 yards of carry. Please continue to do that. Those that Jalen Waddle for 20 yards. I'm like, oh man, 20-yard completion. That's tough. I just saw the terrible angle. DeMar Hamlin had his inner Jaquan Johnson, and it's like, oh, this is a touchdown.
Bro, he didn't have a chance chasing him down either. Like,
I mean, like,
you just saw him take off.
yes and
He's
no, though.
gone.
Like,
He burned.
I
him.
know it's all about angles, but like, dude, he just took off.
Let's put it this way. He ran down towards him to cut him off from the sideline. If he took a more like conservative angle, he probably tackles him. But you're not wrong. Like he was kind of gonna get there, and then all of a sudden, like the turbo boost just went off. Like,
Yeah, he flipped the nitrous switch, and that dude was juiced. He just flew, man. I mean, that's no doubt one of the speediest. Him and Hill are the speediest players in the league.
yeah, I'm glad we don't.
Man.
I don't want to play those guys again.
No,
Those guys
no, that would be
keep up at
scary.
night.
Trey
he
had a
burned-
good game though.
He
Who
did. He had a decent
Trey
game.
Jermaine
White.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
Trey.
Tremaine,
No,
too.
Trey.
White.
Trey got burned twice, and that was about it.
But he had some good breakups.
No,
Mhm.
he got
Elam
burned for
played
that.
decent too.
Yeah,
He got burned for that Trey. I keep saying Trey. That Tyreek Hill touchdown.
Mhm.
That was a bad rap because he was like in press coverage, but he never pressed him. That was a bad rap. And then he got
No,
burned.
yeah, he just got beat. He just
got burned.
ran right by.
Yeah. He got burned by Waddle, but then he almost actually broke up that pass because Tua underthrew him by like 10 yards.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Tua turned the ball over.
But yeah,
No, I think it was, hopefully Trey's getting more confident.
He looks
Elam-
to be. He does.
I think the thing I want to see though when the Bears game happens, Michael, is when they announce the defensive starters that it's Trey White and Kyle Elam.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
because I mean that's obviously like what we want for going forward. Like you use a 1st-round pick on Elam, you want
Yeah.
him to be that number 2, and being behind a guy like Trey White, who when healthy is arguably top 5 corner in the league. Like that's really just like lockdown. You would hope.
Well, didn't Dane Jackson have a couple stupid penalty? Like he had a holding penalty or something like that.
I think he did at one point.
Yeah.
Dane Jackson's
mean,
a good number 3.
He is. He's a good backup.
So,
I would like.
I
to
don't
see
know.
Elam,
He's
though.
just like cheap depth. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. Like he's a nice 3 to
but
have.
you know what he is? He's like a worse version of Gabe Davis on the offense. Like he could step he could step in for a game or two as your number 2, but prefer your 2 outside corner, but preferably he's your number 3 that doesn't really touch the field other than maybe a series if one of the other 2 get banged up during the game.
Yeah, Taryn almost had a pick 6 too. Oh, that
He
would have
did.
been nice.
Yeah.
But
that
yeah,
would've
no, I
changed
think,
the
like I
momentum.
said, the Chicago game just needs to be a tune-up game. This needs to be a confidence booster, and I think it'll happen. I think the Bills I don't think it would be like high scoring just because of the weather. It'd be cold and windy and just not very good weather. But
Yeah.
I think we'll be in control hopefully the entire game and win.
Hopefully. I mean, it's definitely.
I think this is a game where, because like Dom was saying how he doesn't know like any of their defensive linemen. I think
Yeah.
this is a game where you
I
need to
gotta
get
look
the
that up.
run
I feel
game
bad
going.
now.
I think you need to get Singletary going, get
Yeah.
Cook going.
Use the
Like
running
this
game.
is like don't have Josh just be your number one runner.
No.
Well, I mean, they trade Raekwon Smith, they trade Robert Quinn at the deadline. Like, they trade all their good defensive players, and they've been. I mean, I know the Eagles game. Yeah, they only gave 25 points, I believe, but that could have been worse. So
Yeah, it was
they've been
competitive
averaging.
that game.
They've been averaging like 32 points a game given up. The last month. That's definitely weird having Eberflus. I don't know how to say the head coach's name.
Eberflus.
Eberflus, thank you. I was going to
Mhm.
butcher it, so I stopped myself. But he's a defensive coach, so it's kind of a little bit surprising. You think they'd be a little bit better, but no, I think this is a good game for as Mike said, the ground game. I think Josh, the offense. This is a good bounce back game for the offensive line. Get your rhythm going.
Yeah.
Because you're going to play. I mean, if you look at it, they're going to play in Cincinnati. Cincinnati has a good defensive line. They're going to play at home against the Pats. Pats have a good D line, and then it's going to be playoff time, and pretty much
might get
everyone
that first week off. Hopefully.
pretty much everybody in
saying-
the playoffs.
I've never rooted for a Houston team in my life.
Oh
before.
no, yeah.
Davis Mills, okay? Davis Mills.
General Mills.
Overtime. Gets the ball. All you gotta do is get into field goal range. First play, fumbles. My guy, come on. You gotta secure that ball. Like I know the guy came from behind and like swatted it out.
Yeah.
But like you gotta just like throw it away. Like that just proves Davis Mills is not a franchise quarterback, that he's like he's like a backup. But
Yeah,
like,
General
dude,
Mills, no
you
way.
had a chance to take out the Chiefs. Pretty much at that point, I would say the Bills have a really good chance of locking up the 1 seed.
Well, yeah, we would have a 1-game cushion if we lost the game.
Yeah, because then if we lose to like Cincy or something, like we still have tiebreaker.
They lost Cincy's only a game back of them, actually.
Yeah.
But
that
would have made like this game or the Pats game completely meaningless.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of a little bit. I mean, no, they are because they're the same record as the Chiefs. Never mind.
But still, like that's just tough. I know Houston's 1 win, and I don't know why Lovie Smith is a coach in the NFL anymore. But like,
yeah,
I have a feeling they're
Jerry
gonna go for their
Hughes get
third
the
coach
win.
in 3 years, so they'll probably get like Bryce Young or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Davis Mills, whatever. I mean, Jerry Hughes, I was rooting for the win on that one primarily.
But yeah, no, I just want the Bills to get the 1 seed.
It'd be nice to have that bye. Would be huge. I'm gonna be like a nice little like reset and pause. You know what I mean? And just get
just
ready.
have home, just for the home field.
Yeah,
I think the home field's important, but I think the biggest thing is like if you're the 1 seed. Again, I've been like pounding this at the table. Is that I'm pretty sure I know the Ravens can kind of still win the North, but I mean the Chiefs and Bengals are probably going to be the 2-3 in some kind of order in that case. And you would only have to play. They had to come to your house to play you in the AFC Championship game. And 2, you'd only have to play one of them.
Yeah, because they're gonna play each other.
So like in a perfect world, like for the AFC wildcard weekend, I would say this. I mean, realistic world too.
Yeah,
you'd probably want all the division winners to win, because then you play whoever wins the AFC South. I mean, the Jags could be a little frisky, but if the Titans come here, like I'm not worried about them at all, really.
No, I mean we put 41-7 on.
Maybe in the playoffs against Henry could be a little concerning, but
yeah,
then 2-3 becomes Bengals Chiefs, and they're just gonna kill each other, and then they're gonna come here wounded. Like I mean, that's kind of like that's how it goes.
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of how it was for Cincy last year. They played the Chiefs.
Well,
after that duke out in the divisional round,
I guess in a way that happens in Cincinnati, but like
yeah.
I don't know about that. They had to play the wild card. They had to play two in Arrowhead. It's a little different, but yeah. All right. Yeah. So I before we do our predictions, I do want to say I looked up the Bears roster. The only person that I could really know is Taco Charlton, who was the ex-Cowboy first-round pick from Michigan. So.
Nice.
Oh my god.
That's it for me, boys. So
yeah, I wouldn't have been able to name anyone.
9.5-point favorites. My player of the game will be Groot. I've been saying he's been my defensive player of the week for a couple times recently, but I just think him against Alex Leatherwood. He has 7 sacks in the year for Groot. I think he gets to double digits. I think he gets the 3-sack game. I mean, you saw what Hassan Reddick did to Leverwood, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery. He was a beast. I think Groot's going to have that similar impact and bounce back.
I would
What about
agree
you,
with you.
Joe?
I mean,
Yeah.
I agree that that's very plausible. I'm not going to agree with you on my pick, though. Let me rephrase
Well,
that.
say your pick then, please.
So my pick, I think we saw a little bit of Dawson drops last week. All right, he had 2 drops that he should have had. He had a pretty good game. Other than that, I think he goes big this game. I think Dawson Knox is a big name on the offense this week. Just I think they're gonna start using him like that paid tight end. They should, and they already are. So I'd like to see more out of him, and I think he's gonna be a big changer.
Yeah. No, I think they're going to get the run game going. I think Singletary's going to have a 100-yard game. I think he's going to have a touchdown. I think
I'd love
James
to see
Cook will
that.
have like 50 yards on the ground. I just think they got to get the run game going. They got to get the confidence going because look at last year, the end of the season, they got Singletary going, and look at what he did in that wild card game.
Yeah.
Ate up the Patriots. We need to get that going again. And I
Yeah.
think it will happen. Take advantage of a weak defensive line.
Yeah, the Taco Charlton-led Bears line.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
My final score prediction, I think so. The over-under is like 40. I'm a little bit concerned about the weather making us a little bit low scoring, so I'm gonna go 34-14 Buffalo. I think this is a blowout, to be honest. I mean, listen, the Bears are frisky and give them credit, but like, this is just a game that the Bills should coast.
No, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, I'm gonna go 28-7 Bills.
I'm gonna say like 23-6 Bills.
All right.
I think the weather
blowout
will have
prediction.
a factor, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, like you said, Mike, I hope to see the ground game really be the factor of why we win this game. But I think that's going to do it for our Bills talk, gents. Anything else you want to toss in there before we head into some Sabres?
No, sir, baby.
No?
Go Bills.
Okay. Go Bills. But before we move into the Sabres, I just would like to bring up the Sports Bring People Together podcast. You should listen for entrepreneurial conversations with those in sports. And who knows where the chats will take you, but sports got us all here together in the first place. Find the show wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, or simply visit sportseplus.com. And now we are going to move into our Buffalo Sabres talk. The Sabres had a great week. They went on a road trip, won all 3 games. Won against the Avalanche 4-2, the Coyotes 5-2, and the Golden Knights, who they fell to earlier in the season, 3-2. I mean, you can't really want anything better than that. The performance they put on was fantastic. They look good. UPL, I mean, we'll chat about that, but he may or may not have saved his career. I mean, it was really, really interesting to watch these games because we were on an 8-game losing streak at one point this season. I mean, all hope was lost. And now, aren't we 4th in our division?
We are.
Yeah.
16-14-2.
Yeah. So I mean, all hope was lost at one point, and here we are. So, and this is Christmas time. Normally, this is not where you see the Sabres kind of get that uptick. So, it's been really, really interesting to watch. I mean, what's your takeaway from this past week? I mean, it's been very good. I mean, can't want anything better in my opinion.
No, it's been really good because I mean I think the team is starting to gel finally.
Yeah.
You have these players that are finally like buying into what the coach is selling and like have chemistry with each other. And it's just really nice because for years it's always been, oh, next year's our year. We have all these guys. And finally we're getting the results that we want. Like I think going into the season we knew like we should be competitive in the wild card, but maybe we don't necessarily make the playoffs. But I'd say right now we're only 4 points out. So like I think
and
we're on pace.
They have a game in hand too, technically. So
yeah, so I would say we're definitely on pace for like what I expected, like to be a competitive team, maybe just miss the playoffs, but at least be like in the wild card conversation.
Right. I think people got a little tease from how we started that, oh, this team's going to the playoffs. A lot of people. And then now everyone got disappointed after the 8-game losing streak. But like Mike, like you said, expectations weren't super high. I mean, jokingly, I would say we're going to the Cup this season. But I mean, in actuality, I mean, it's just like.
No, we just wanted to see that team improvement. Like, honestly, like we had a very young team, a lot of inexperienced guys. Like, we just needed them to get some experience, get some confidence. And I think that's what they're doing. I think Granato's really good at developing players. We've seen the Tage Thompson breakout. We've seen Jeff Skinner kind of play the best hockey he's ever played. Same
Yeah.
with Darlene. And then you have like Tuck, who's like all these guys, they're breaking out. Cousins, like you just rattle off a ton of them. I think Granato's really good at getting the most out of players because his entire career he's been a development coach. Like I think we need to take advantage of that. I know we've said like probably ideally to have a cup winning team, Don Granato's more of an assistant than a head coach because we've seen like his coaching flaws. You know, not pulling
flaws.
Yeah, you know, not pulling the
game
goalie
day-
until
game
less
day
than 2
flaws.
minutes and like some of the power plays and like lines, you know, his love for Casey Middlestat, like you know,
and,
like
and he just loves the name Casey Fitzgerald too.
yeah,
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
obviously he's not perfect, you know, he's not like an elite coach, but I would say he's the best coach we've had since Lindy.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean,
the team's
I feel
flourishing
like
around him.
I feel like anyone could be a better coach than Ralph Kruger. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's a soccer coach. So
Yeah.
True.
no, I think it comes down to it's a successful week in terms of the result. Dude, I think they played particularly well in the trip. Probably not, other than Arizona. Like they kind of got dominated by Colorado, and they definitely got dominated by Vegas, especially in the third period.
Yeah, that third period was brutal. Luukkonen was standing on his head.
I think what's frustrating is that it's been, I don't know, they're up 3-0 against Colorado. They're up 3-0 against Vegas. And it felt like they had an opportunity to kind of just, I don't know, put their foot down. And they kind of just, instead of doing that, they kind of sat back and coasted. And that whole third period, it just felt like Vegas was going to score like 5 goals and win the game. And they nearly did. Like they had a bunch of chances. Obviously, they had a penalty shot, which was easily the worst. I think that might be the worst penalty shot I've ever seen.
Yeah, Marchessault, like he tried to like
I don't know what that was.
And then like Luukkonen didn't bait, so then he just followed him, and
I was like, okay. Once he like did that move, I was like, all right. Like he put himself completely out of position, no speed. I was like, all right. I feel pretty confident this could be saved. But no, I think I know you jokingly said in the intro, did UPL save his career? And I think, absolutely, because in about 200 shots, he had like an 860, 850 save percentage, which is terrible. But the last 2 games, I mean, he's just nothing short of just absolutely sensational.
Right.
I think he has like a 960 save percentage the last 2 games. So it's definitely now making an interesting decision. What happens when Eric Comrie? I know he went on the trip. You thought maybe he'd be back for the trip. Maybe he's back sooner rather than later. But it's interesting what's going to happen if they're going to carry 3 goalies or not. I don't know. I think it's a good trip because a complete win to go 2-1 without Skinner of his suspension.
Yeah.
And also to be down probably your second best defenseman, Nolan Power, all 3 games. You don't really know what the situation's up with that. Again, they're down to Cal Clay, Larry Pilot, Casey Fitzgerald, Lyubushkin, who they just have to realize that they messed up that signing and do something about that. But I mean, when 4 or 6 defense, I think what's concerning to me is this: very positive week going 3-0, but their play in those 3 games is not sustainable.
Yeah,
like Samuelson and Darlene played 30 minutes apiece.
Yeah.
Throughout I think all 3 games they pretty much played that ice time. UPL Suns had Anderson had a good night. I think he in Arizona too. So the goaltending was really good. You had your 2 best defensemen playing a lot. Your top line, I mean, really carried because the kid line went completely cold. I mean, they only had a point, which is the Dylan Cousins empty net goal. They had like 8 shots on goal in 3 games. So they went a little cold, which I think that's the thing for me is that you have to expect your young players to go through bumps along the journey.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
they're
like
not going to be superstars all of a sudden. They're going to have to develop.
This is their first NHL season.
Yeah.
I mean, Owen Power, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he's got a little banged up, missing 3 games. Like, that's kind of, it won't be surprised later in the season if, like, Paterka or Quinn get banged up for a little bit, just because your body's not used to an 82-game NHL schedule. But it's interesting if, Mike talks about, like, development and all that. Like, this was a development year, but now they're on pace for about 87 points, I think, or I'm probably close to 90. That's not good enough to make the playoffs, but I mean, is it possible that we see a move? Like, I don't know. Is Adams gonna stick to his plan? Obviously, the holiday freeze just happened till December 28th, but
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, with all the injuries banged up against the D, I mean, again, like maybe they don't do the big move that we've been begging for, which is Chikrin, but yeah, maybe you get a better fifth defenseman. You trade for a
Right.
fifth
Depth
defenseman
guy.
or something like
Yeah.
that.
You
Not a
just-
depth guy. I think better. I would say better like Mike Riley, who maybe is like more of a bottom. It could be a top four on a bad team, but maybe more of a bottom pair on a good team. Like I think that might be a better move than just sitting on your hands.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think the developmental stuff we've seen and I mean, you can't argue with Tage Thompson, right? Owen Power too. Like you said, the kid line's been hot. They're going to go cold. Things are going to happen. I would like to see maybe a little move like that, just to kind of further solidify the steadiness of this team, because like everyone talks about our elite offense, our firecracker offense, that you never know what's going to happen next. Defenseman is where I think we would need, you know what I mean? Like to maybe pick up a couple things, like you said. So I think that would be something I would like to see when this freeze ends. And I think it's just honestly, like we've said before, the other big thing is just waiting on Levi. I think next season, you know what I mean, or whenever he comes.
No, we talking about this season. I don't care what Levi does. I think the thing is the goaltending. While we were disappointed in it during the 8-game stretch and like UPL's start, they really have gotten pretty much league average goaltending, which I think any of us would have signed up for.
Yeah.
It's the fact of that they're giving up so many chances defensively that they had to kind of improve, and they also gotta. I think their play style has to adapt a little bit, in the fact of. I think this is what happened really with the kids line throughout. They play a very up tempo pace. We're going to skate, speed and all that,
Right.
which is fine. But when you play against veteran teams like Vegas or Colorado, who are going to fork check you to death, or like Carolina's a good example. Like they're going to play like a 1-2-2, which means they're going to clog up the neutral zone. You can't skate in that. They're going to make you dump the puck in. And they're going to dump the puck against you, and they're going to make you turn the puck over because you're a young team, and they're going to forecheck you to death. So, like, the Sabres had to do a better job against good forechecking teams, and they got to become better forecheckers, because you saw it against Vegas. They had no offensive zone time, and it's because when they got to the center ice, they weren't going to let you skate in.
Right.
It's like it's like a good offense. It's like the Bills. You can have a good passing offense, but if you don't have that balance, that rushing attack, you don't have that forechecking ability.
Right.
People are gonna make you dump the puck in until you can prove you can forecheck.
You got to have the yin to the yang. It's got to be a complementary balance here. I mean, it's just I feel like
The yin to the yang.
the yin to the yang. But I don't know. It's definitely interesting. It'll be interesting to see if anything really does happen. I mean, like we've said, we would like to see something, but I think it's just. Do you think though that it's just a price we pay with the way we play offensively, like defensively, like they're giving up those opportunities? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I feel like when we're just kind of skating around and in and going crazy on offense, like just, like the high end offense.
I think it's more or less we have players that can get offense. We just don't have the defensemen that are going to be successful defensively. Because, I mean, like we talk about Labushkin, he had a good start and then he got hurt and he hasn't really been the same and he keeps getting hurt. You have guys like Fitzgerald who probably shouldn't be in the NHL.
Right.
Even like, Yoki Haru, he's been decent, but he's probably like a third pairing guy.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously your top two defensemen there, Darlene and Power, like they're more offensive minded. So you really only true defensive minded guy in your top four is Matthias Samuelsson. And it's been proven how, vital he is when he's healthy and hurt. We really struggle when he was out of the lineup because we don't have anyone that's just defensive minded. So like even like a Bryson, like he's probably a third pairing guy, but like, I feel like you can improve him because he's kind of like he tries to be like a Darlene or Power and he's just not, he's not.
No, he's 5'10",
offensively gifted. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I think it's more or less you just don't have the right players at defense. While offense, you have a guy who can score in Skinner. You have Tage, who's just insane. Tuck is like that power forward, and then that second line is just going to be something you hope can be a line for the next decade plus. So like, I think it's just finding the defenseman.
Yeah, I think like your top six play high event hockey. Like,
yeah.
I mean, none of those guys are like really great defense. Like some of them are all right defensively, and then you have some guys that are kind of liabilities in your forward group. But like that's the price you pay. Like they're going to produce so much offense, they're going to outweigh their efficiencies, like their negative efficiency. So that I agree with that aspect, Joe. Like I think that's some of it where like they play a high event I mean, they give up a lot of goals, but they scored. I mean, they had the most goals in the NHL. Like
Right.
That's definitely part of it. It's also like their play style. Yes, that's part. Some of it's also personnel. Like in your top six, like you're gonna have high event players. But as Mike alluded to, it's also a little bit of personnel in the fact of like some of your players just aren't very good.
Yeah.
But like I
Yeah.
think that's like the thing with me is that this team has a core, and there are just certain pieces that have to be added like around the core to get the next jump.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna continue to get the jump inside the core from like just developing from year to year, but
Mhm.
now it's about adding like a third line center who's a better forechecker that could forecheck, or adding, as Mike said, like Chikrin, I think is a nice like little piece of being a little bit more of an offensive defenseman, can play a little defense, but then maybe also adding another guy in your bottom pair that's also, I think they tried to do this with Lyubushkin, but as Mike alluded to, like, I mean, he's been pretty bad this year. So,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
I think it's adding better pieces defensively where you're not having four really AHL caliber defensemen in your lineup, and
Yeah.
also getting rid of like Bryson, Lyubushkin from your lineup, even your healthy lineup.
Mhm.
And pushing Yoki Haru down. Like I think it's improving the depths of your defenseman while adding maybe another high end guy, and then forward group. It's just adding really good, competent bottom six forwards. Like I mean, you saw what Tampa did. Like adding,
Spending
I know.
first round picks on like a Barclay
Okay, like
Goodrow and
yeah, I'm not
Blake
that into
Coleman.
that. Yeah, and you don't want to overpay for those guys either. Like giving them the contracts that the
The
Rangers,
Rangers and Flames did, yeah.
Flames and Nick Paul
No.
got 4x4, but those are the type of players that like you add like your third, fourth line that have a little skill offensively, but also are good
Mhm.
forecheckers or good defensively. And I think that's what I mean. I'm not the biggest Rob Bray fan, but I think he alluded to at least a good point of in the Vegas period, in the third period, he was like, we're gonna see a lot more of the Krebs, Girgensons, a postal line because they can at least play in this kind of game where like those are three very good forecheckers that they can play the dump and chase kind of style.
Right.
I think yeah, your top six I think need to become maybe a little bit better at that style, but I also think you need to get a third line, another line that can do that as well. Like I think that's the problem with the third line of I don't even know who the third line is anymore. I think it's still Olsen, Milstead, and I think it's Yost.
Let me
And
check.
Yost is pretty
Yeah,
good.
Jost has been he's been really
Jost-
good. Nice waiver pickup.
Yeah.
It's Yost, Middlestad, and Olofsson. Most recent update.
Yeah, like I think what you would preferably want in the future, like for next year, would be like Yost is your fourth line center, Krause moves up to third line center, and then you add a couple wingers. I don't know. I don't really know if they want to put Savoy and Coolidge in that position, but like they probably want to add another guy that could play up tempo, but also good forecheckers. So like that's how you
Yeah.
improve your defense. Is that you get guys that are good with possession and good defensive guys.
Mm-hmm.
And upgrading your defense is going to help your goaltending out. And that's why I'm not like in the biggest, they have to make a trade for a goalie situation. Because like you have three of them at the proper moment. And like Anderson's been good when he plays. Conley has been kind of meh, but maybe, the injury gives him some time off. And maybe now they run three goalies and that doesn't make him have the starters mindset. And maybe EPL found a switch or something. So I think it's currently until I know Joe. You keep saying waiting to Levi. I think part of it is they need to add another goaltender once Anderson probably retires to like soften the load on some other guys. But it's also
Right.
I think mostly they have to get better personnel.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think it's just going to be putting the team together at this point. I mean, we have all these pieces that already are, but we got to put the rest of the gears in so that everything turns as a unit. That's truthfully it at this point. I mean, fringe playoff team, sure, but we want to be contenders at some point, and I know that's not in like the near future, and that wasn't like the intent.
I don't know if near future.
Well,
I think in like 2 years they could be like legit.
Near future meaning like
build it
next
right.
season. Yeah, I mean, but
I think next season, my mindset is this: next season they need to be able to be in a position where they are like the Red Wings in a way of not being stupid for your money, but starting to spend assets to improve your team.
yeah, no, because we do have a lot of space to use money. So
All right, yeah. Well, so that was the Sabres recap. I got to ask some questions now because there's multiple stories about Jason Bauerl's tenure with the Sabres. So I have to ask the first question. 3 years ago, if you offered Tage Thompson would you offer Tage Thompson for a 5th round pick?
3 years ago?
At the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I'm getting at. There's a lot of people that are like roasting the Sabres for that trade. Offer. They got
If John
rejected.
Granato had never come in as coach, I don't think Tage Thompson ever breaks out.
No.
And you never pair him with Skinner and Tuck. Like, I just don't think he has that breakout.
I don't think so either. I think that's
Like,
like
I think I always knew he had like the skill and potential, but like he just never put it together and was like never good. So now that he's kind of like broken out.
He showed it like that Detroit Red Wings shootout during the winning streak. Like he showed, and he had he had like that nice slapper too in that game too. Like that was like kind of a throwback. Flash forward, but he always had the skill. It was always like he'd always though get like bumped off the puck and then lose the puck. I mean, he's just become such a beast on the puck. Add the shots obviously a lot better too, but I feel like he's just gotten a lot stronger. But no, I think at the time like he was bad. Like I'm not like he was barely. And I was definitely on the head of like we shouldn't even be playing him. He was that bad. So I would have taken a 5th round. I mean, I would have taken any asset at the time. But
yeah,
obviously, if you said that now on Twitter, you're gonna sound like an idiot. But
right,
it's just hindsight. Like
if he keeps up his pace, man, that contract's a huge steal.
Yeah.
I saw they were comparing him to Mario Lemieux.
I mean, big guy. I mean, look, 3rd fastest to 50 points. Like, I mean,
I think he's got to consistently do that for a few years before you're calling him.
No. I don't even know.
Lemieux is like arguably second greatest player ever. So
yeah, if he didn't get injured all the time. Yeah, no. I mean, Tage's having a great year. Obviously, 2nd star in the NHL for the 2nd straight week.
Yeah.
3rd points behind the Edmonton duo. I firmly think he's in the Hart Trophy conversation right now.
Absolutely.
Because honestly, I think he should win.
Mm-hmm.
It's most valuable to your team.
Yeah. And
I know Edmonton is nothing without McDavid and Draisaitl, but like
those are 2 dudes.
Yeah, those are 2 guys.
I think it's interesting.
Look at Taylor Hall when he won with the Devils.
Right.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't the best player in the NHL, but like he was definitely
most valuable for his team.
Yeah,
so Tage Thompson is a legit Hart Trophy candidate, but everyone every year is just going to be like Connor McDavid. So
it's kind of like the anti of the NFL or like the NBA used to be of like LeBron, now maybe Mahomes, of like the Hart Trophy in the NHL just seems like the best player wins it every year. And that's kind of like not the value. That's not the award.
Right.
No.
That's like the Ted Lindsay is like the players voting the best player in the NHL, I believe. It's Ted Lindsay, right? Yeah. That's the best player in the NHL. The Hart Trophy is the most valuable. And like when you have another top 5 player in the NHL on your team, like I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to give you the Hart. But I mean, McDavid's also putting up numbers that
he's very valuable. Don't get me wrong; he should be in consideration. But like, what's the point if he just wins it every year? You know?
Yeah.
I know there's definitely got to be some variety, but no, he's definitely in the top 3. All right, other story that Jason Barrell just called an audible, called Omaha in the 2017 NHL draft of drafting Casey Milstead over Nakis that ended up being Carolina's pick. All the scouts wanted him, and he was like, "Nah, this is my draft, first draft." Also, that 17 draft just turned out to be one of the worst drafts ever.
Yeah,
especially with was Gouli in that? No, Gouli was 15. Something just happened with someone in 17. I can't remember their name.
Either way, yeah, no. I mean, I guess at the time I didn't mind the Casey Milstead pick. We saw him at the World Juniors. He kind of dominated the World Juniors, the MVP.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like no pull-ups is kind of a red flag.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think at the time I wasn't mad that we drafted Casey Milstead. He showed potential in the junior level. I think we just kind of rushed him in. I think he needed more time to develop.
No, he was definitely he's the most overrated prospect. He also just doesn't have any. His problem is that he's just not a good skater. Like that's kind of like his downfall is that he's just not a good skater.
No,
we also just completely overrated him because he had 30 points, 34 games in Minnesota.
Right.
That should have also been like kind of not a red flag, but that should have been like he should have waited another year. And then he had 5 points in 6 games, and I was like, all right, let's trade Ryan O'Reilly. He's the number 2 center. And it's like, no, let's have a 30-point season, Casey Milstead. But no, and obviously UPL's I guess looking better for that draft, but that draft also had Bryson. Just I can't remember something happened just the third. I gotta look that up now, but. I mean, it's just another what if with Barrel to show how absolutely terrible it was. I'm not against calling it audible. Like,
no,
but
when
like,
you say stuff like it's my draft and all of that,
but that's I mean, it is a GM's job. That's who it is. Marcus Davidson's the 2nd round pick that unfortunately had like concussion issues and didn't do anything. 37th overall, but no, I'm not against it. But like, if you call an audible, like you gotta make sure the play works. You know what I mean? Like you gotta like, if you call an audible, like it's gotta be like a touchdown or like a good play. Like if you call, I don't know, especially if you audible off a good play, like that would have been a good pick. He audibled and made a bad pick. And now that draft, 2017, not a great draft.
No, I don't know. I just Casey Middlestat now. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Like if he looked like this, but like you said, he dominated the World Juniors, so I guess he kind of was appealing to a lot of people, you know. So I understand it, but for me, being like, just like all of a sudden being like, all right, I'm gonna just call the audible here and do it. I don't really.
It's again, it's a little hindsighty as Mike alluded to, because Middlestat was still a pretty decent prospect at the time, but I don't know. I feel like
Hindsight's
other people were
2020.
higher than him. It's also but like the 2016 draft of Nylander here. Like I don't think anyone wanted to draft Nylander, and Tim Murray just kind of picked him. So that kind of killed the franchise, to be honest. I killed the Jack Eichel era, whiffing on those two top 10 picks. But
yeah, no, that died quick.
So two quick thoughts about defensemen. One is, do you think Rasmus Dahlin is the Norris leader right now?
Yes.
I would say so.
With his performance so far this season, absolutely. I mean, the guy's a monster.
This is his best defensive season too. Like he's actually putting up some good. I know some of it has to do if he plays with Samuelson, but he's logging a lot of minutes, obviously over a point per game. He just needs to stop taking stupid penalties every once in a while, but that's his one flaw. But no, he's having a great year. It's great to see him break out. I guess with that, do you guys regret bridging him? They bridged him.
No.
I think the bridge was a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
Because he didn't, again, it's kind of like Tage a little bit, where like he didn't break out fully. Like obviously he had way better years than Tage. He had a couple 40-point seasons, but it was also like he just got completely neutered by Ralph Kruger.
Yeah. Well, Ralph Kruger just completely neutered the entire team at that point. Didn't he have
Jeff
Skinner?
Got neutered.
Yeah.
Dowling, Tage, pretty much everyone other than Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart. Okay, last random thought of how lucky are we that we traded away Rasmus Dahlin and didn't give him that contract? That is
very
brutal with a capital B and a multiple exclamation points after the L.
Yeah,
because that's what the Flyers are taking, just a fat L on that. No points in 25 games, $5 million till 27.
Holy cow! That to me,
first round pick
that's nuts. That's nuts.
Alrighty. All right, going to our predictions last week, because Joe's power went out. It was only Mike and I. So Mike predicted Quinn and Tage. I predicted Skinner and Dahlin. Funny enough, Tage led the team in points. And my prediction of Skinner, even though he only played 2 games, was spot on. Scored 3 goals, but Tage also scored 3 goals. So we both got 1 point right. So yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I believe we all both said 2-1. So we were, 3-0. I'll take. Joe, you should have been there. We all know you would have picked 3-0. So.
Hey, I honestly I would have. So that would have been a nice win. But power goes out, things happen, so just disappear. But I'm looking forward to picking this week for sure. So,
alrighty. So they're back home against Tampa, who just got rocked by the Leafs. And then they play. Don't know what our schedule is going to be like, but they play. I don't think we're going to do Tuesday. So I think we had 2 games at least. So pick 2 games of. They're home against Tampa, and then they're on the road Tuesday in Columbus after Christmas.
They're gonna go 1-1.
I would agree. I think they're gonna win 1, lose 1. They're on a hot streak right now, but I feel like you got to come down at one point and lose a game. So I would say 1-1. I think they win against the Lightning and lose against the Blue Jackets.
I'll be different. I think they go 2-0.
You think?
I think the Lightning reeling a little bit, and the Blue Jackets are bad. Those are just, again. We talk about gimme points, like it's how we talk about the Bills. You just crush the Bears.
Yeah,
they did it last time against Columbus, scoring 6 goals in the first period. So
you got a point.
Points and goals.
Tage for both.
Yeah, I want to do Tage and then Skinner for points.
I will do Tuck and Rasmus Dahlin, because I believe that Columbus is not going to let Tage Thompson score 5 goals against them last time when they're going to just triple team him the whole game. What were yours, Joe? Sorry.
Skinner or Thompson and Skinner.
Thompson, Skinner. That's what I thought. Alrighty. Well, that does it for our Sabres talk.
Yeah, and now we're going to move into the Would You Rather. And fellas, it's my Would You Rather from last week before the power went out. So the Sabres, I want to just switch to more NHL, right? So I switched to an NHL-esque Would You Rather question, switch it up a little bit. Sabres haven't been here in a very long time. They haven't been in the playoffs. So would you rather lose Game 7 final in double overtime or be swept first round?
Game 7.
Double overtime.
Yeah, in the final?
Whose building is it in?
I don't know. It's not that specific. I don't.
Well, you
No,
can make it.
definitely-
It's your Would You Rather. You can make it as specific as
Wait a
you
minute.
want.
So would you rather be like Tampa against Columbus or like the Sabres against Dallas in 99 is essentially what you're saying.
Yes, pretty much.
I'd rather be the Sabres.
Look how much
They make it to the
momentum they save.
final.
Yeah, you'd have so much momentum after that, and you'd have something. You'd have something to actually show like free agents who to come here. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
like
we
we
went.
made it to see like a final. So
Yeah, hey, it's like you could have been the X factor of us winning a cup. You know, I think that's a pretty darn good push. Other than
You got a point.
yeah, we made the playoffs for the first time in 12 years, but we didn't. We still haven't won a playoff game in that time because we got
Exactly.
swept.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would definitely. I mean, I would like to go to the finals.
I mean,
Double
if you-
overtime. It'd be
I
tough loss. I mean,
But
it'd
like
be,
even if you, I think even if you flip it, I'd still, like if you would rather lose Game 7 in double overtime in the first round or get swept in the final, I think I'd still preferably get swept in the final because at least you went to the final.
Yeah. No,
you can hang that banner, Eastern Conference champions.
okay, Nashville.
we might
Yeah.
soon. Might be hanging in Buffalo soon. Hopefully.
Maybe.
Hey, hopefully
Hopefully.
it's a Stanley Cup. I don't want that Eastern Conference.
Well, it's already up there with the black and red. So I mean, I don't know. Hopefully soon, but
Yeah.
we'll try to switch it to a little more NHL-esque. I mean, we do a lot of NFL and football. Would you rather's? You
Mhm.
know, I had another one
Yeah.
in there about Stephen A. Smith, but in like
Okay.
it was, would you rather listen to 24 hours straight of no breaks with Stephen A. Smith talking about Aaron Rodgers or Skip Bayless talking about Tom Brady? That was another contender.
I'm not even gonna acknowledge that. I'm just gonna go
No.
with trivia.
Yeah,
No,
I would have said
yeah.
no comment.
Yeah.
They're both pretty bad. So I
Do I have a third option where the power goes out?
you know what? Because mine did, we'll throw that in there.
Yeah.
Power for 24 hours.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my God.
So
All right,
first
Mike, take it
trivia
away.
question with the Bills. So
Mhm.
we all know how much of an impact Stephon Diggs has made for the Bills. Where does he rank on the list of receiving yards all time with the Bills? Like, where is he slotted in? Just with the Bills.
4.
Want to say 5.
8th.
Really?
Mm.
Okay, I gotta try and think who's a 7 are now.
Oh, man.
Reed?
Yes.
Molds.
Yes.
Lee Evans.
Yes.
All right, I think
There's only one more I think you could guess.
Lee Evans. James Lofton.
No.
Really?
No.
Stevie.
No.
Stevie Johnson, didn't he have 3,000-yard seasons? Really?
No.
Joe
It's
Cribbs?
Andre Reed, Eric Moulds, Lee Evans, Dubinion, Lewis, Thurman, and then Butler. Jay Butler.
Oh,
Thurman.
Thurman. That would have made sense.
And then Diggs. So
How far is he from climbing up?
Oh my God, he's like 10,000. He's got to be like 10,000 yards away from Andre Reed.
yeah. But he'll probably get to number 3.
Who's
I don't know.
2?
2 is Moulds.
How much does Molds have?
9,096.
Yeah, isn't Diggs at like 3,000? He's like 6,000. If
Diggs
he plays
at
his...
4,059.
Yeah, he might get to that one. That'll be
Yeah.
close though.
If he stays-
He'll definitely pass Lee Evans.
That'd
Yeah.
be down to the wire.
If
on
he
his
stays
career.
healthy and productive, he should get around 10,000. That's actually a lot of yards.
So,
I don't know. Maybe probably not.
We'll
actually.
see.
I don't know.
Bills question is done. Sabres question. Who are the 2 players that scored 25 goals faster than Tage Thompson? This was asked at the actual game. I was watching the game and they
Oh my
showed this
gosh, I
photo
know
for
one of
it.
them's Alex Manilli.
Mm-hmm.
I know what the other one is. I'll let Joe answer.
I have no idea.
Gilbert.
Oh, no.
Was that?
not.
Oh,
It's not.
I think I know. Is it Laugh? Wait, is
LaFontaine
is
Mogilny.
that Gilbert? Oh my gosh, no. You know
Gilbert
what
was
it is?
32 games.
No, you know what it is? I saw the stat where it's the fastest to 50 points, and I think that
Yeah,
was.
no, 25 goals.
Oh,
It was LaFontaine, Mogilny, then Tage, and then Gilbert, and
I was so
then
confident in that answer.
maybe Rick Martin after that. But yeah.
No
So
Jack
yeah, I
Eichel
thought
on
that
that
was good
list.
during the middle of the game.
No,
And
no
then
Jack
last
Eichel.
question, Jack Eichel.
Hey, gotta.
Hey, that was $5. So that was
yeah.
That was $5, and
honestly.
also we played them, so I feel like I can wear it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
last question, we'll celebrate Leo Messi for winning the World Cup. Can you tell me how many goals he has for when he played with Barcelona?
Barcelona? Oh my god.
Okay. This is a shot in the dark on this one. I'm no
Like their main team. Their main team. We won't do like the youth teams. Just his main team.
All right. So, I think he scored like 800 goals in his career or something. About 100 of them have been for his country. I think he's wait. I think about 50 of them have been for like other clubs in PSG. So I'm gonna say 625.
I'll go a little higher, 675. I'll throw
It's
50
definitely
on
not
top.
higher.
474.
474.
400.
Mhm.
God, I was so far off.
Wow.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it's closer to 700 career goals. And I was about whatever.
I think he has like 700 something goals. Yeah.
What a game that was too. The World Cup final. That was nuts. The end of that one.
No, that was
fun to
good.
watch.
But yeah, no, that's my trivia. And yeah, now I gotta go Christmas shopping.
All right. Well, without further ado, that's going to finish it for this episode of the Buffalonian podcast. I've been Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. Happy holidays to all of our listeners out there. You get the one big holiday special episode for this week. And without further ado, Dom, how do you always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.
Go Sabres.
Happy holidays.